Well, hello and welcome. It's Monday, so you're here, and I can only say thank you for being here. Welcome to Leaders and Legacies in Style, Divine, Masculine, and Feminine. And oh my goodness, are we going to talk about that today? I am Joy Ruffin, and the work that I do is as a leadership and signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. But today, we're going to be talking about one of my many favorite words. We're going to be talking about soulful power, and our mirror, our personal evolution awaits us. And we're going to be talking about that. So, all I want you to do, I could go on and share a lot with you. But before we get started, let me give you a little bit about what we're going to encounter here today with my featured guest speaker. Who does not love a great treat, especially one that transforms you, right? We're in an era and a time of awakening. It's time for an eye-opening journey for all of us. And that word soul and power and divine, oh, they're in the stratosphere now. And they are here to inform and enlighten us in all the best ways. My featured guest speaker, Christian Delois, I have a hard time or a good time with that name. He's a transformational coach, an award-winning author, a TEDx speaker, and so much more. He does global breath work, which I'm excited to learn more about. So my friends, sit back, relax, as they say somewhere, take it easy, and help me welcome our featured guest speaker. Christian, come on up. How are you?
Hey, Joey. How are you?
Well, I'm always good, and I'm always excited to be here on Mondays because I bring all of these fabulous featured guest speakers who share their knowledge, their wisdom, and their love with the audience. So, Christian, I really love the work that you're doing because that word soul resonates with mine, the heart and soul connected. So, tell us a little bit about how you got started doing this work and what brought you to this work that you do so well today.
Thank you so much, Joey. What a beautiful introduction. Yeah, I've been doing this work for over 30 years, probably 33 years at this point. I was on a track to get a PhD in psychology. My dad was a psychiatrist. So I come out of that psychotherapy tradition. And 33 years ago, I tried breathwork, conscious breathing for the first time. And Joey, I got to tell you, that first session changed my life. I jumped tracks. I never went for the PhD. And I've been, like you said in the intro, I've been offering breathwork all over the world since then. And to talk a little bit about breathwork, it's a big umbrella term. So anybody who's ever been to a yoga class has done breathwork. You know, there's different types of breathing practices that fall under that term. The type of breathwork that I do it's a longer practice. You breathe in a certain way for about an hour and a half, and amazing stuff happens. It's like I have yet to come across anything that heals as quickly and as powerfully and in so many levels. And all we're doing is breathing. That's the mind-blowing part of it. But if we think about it, you were talking about soul and spirit and all that good stuff.
Yes.
In most spiritual traditions in the world, the same word, one word, can mean breath or spirit, depending on the context, depending on what we're talking about. So that's what helps me understand why this breathing practice is so powerful.
Well, Christian, I want to know more about that. And why? Because you know, and I know, and we know, and everyone knows that we're in this Insta society. Everybody wants everything yesterday. I don't know when and where it happened, but that's where we are. And I want to hear more about that. And because I'm mesmerized and fascinated by it, especially how you ended sharing with us that it's so powerful. I also, because we only have so much time, I want to end with giving us more definition and more meaning about what that means. But now I want to talk about what you introduced to me also. You said you want to introduce the concept of the garden. So I'm not putting that on the back burner. We're going to come back to it towards the end. But tell us why the concept of introducing the garden is so important to you.
Well, this comes out of my newest book, which is being released in June. It's actually, I just got it back from the editor. So I'm very excited about that process. I don't know about you, but writing for me, it takes a long time and it's a lot of work.
Me too.
So I'm really excited that I'm, that this book is just about done. So it talks about how to do relationships consciously. So if you're already in a relationship and you've got those basic human needs for companionship, intimacy, family, sex, then great. But then what? Like, how do you use that container, the form of the relationship, to speed up our own process of individual transformation, which I think ultimately is what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're not in a relationship and would like to be, how do we remove the subconscious obstacles, the subconscious ways that have us sabotaging our behavior, our relationships, sometimes even before the get-go, by attracting the wrong people who are just not a match. And so what happens is we end up doing this, like,
Yes, yes,
come here,
yes,
but don't get too close.
yes, yes.
And so that's what I mean by sabotaging our relationships. And so if we're going to do them consciously, meaning that we're fully aware that nobody can make us happy, there isn't anybody out there in this entire universe or any other universe for that matter who's going to make us happy, and it's not their job to.
Mm.
So only we can make ourselves happy. So when we get that, that's what that means to approach a relationship consciously. Because if we're still hoping that you are going to make me happy, yikes, right? Hang it up. It's not going to work.
I'm
And
chuckling. Yes, Christian, I'm
how,
chuckling away because I think most of us come with
yeah,
that. Sorry to interject, but you tickle something within me. We come with that understanding or knowing we think that is somebody else who's going to complete us. But I love what you gave me here and when you said with the garden and the concept of it. My space, your space, and our space, and how we
that's it.
honor that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it. So the work that you and I do, like coaching people in leadership and legacy in style, in your
Yes,
case,
yes.
uh, that's cultivating our own garden, right? That's figuring out our mindset, like getting out of the way so that we stop getting in the way of our happiness and our fulfillment and having the kind of jobs and relationships and lives that we long for. So that's cultivating our own garden. So in a conscious relating, I'm over here cultivating my own garden. You're
Mhm.
over there cultivating yours, like doing your own work of growth and transformation. And then there's a co-op garden, which is the relationship that we're both responsible for maintaining and nurturing and taking care of it. For me, the relationship is like another entity. Right? So there's
Mhm.
really three entities in most
Mhm.
relationships. There's you, there's me, and then there's the relationship,
Right,
which
right.
also requires maintenance. And so that's what I mean by the co-op garden.
Christian, I have to tell you that I love this concept. And when I read it, I said, "Oh, I can't wait to get more data and information about it." Because again, I am repetitive for a reason. And that is that the majority of us, no matter what generation you're in, that saying from one movie, "You complete me." Nobody completes you. They might add
No,
to you. They might,
exactly.
but they don't complete you. But that became a powerful mantra that went around the universe, and people brought into, especially women, bought into that. And it's not true. So that's why I love your concept about the garden. How did you come to this? What brought this awareness to you? Because it's all about space, owning your power. How did you come to this? What brought you to this realization?
I've been doing this work, this kind of personal transformation work for many years, like over
Yes,
30
yes.
years, as I was saying. The concept of like I've only had like I meditate, I don't do it as much perhaps as I would like to, as frequently as I would like to, but I've been
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it for many years. And the breathing practice that we were talking about kind of creates a shortcut to those high meditative states.
Ah,
So I can access those more easily than most just plain meditators, because I have this kind of shortcut way that we get to use our breath to access those same states of being. Um, and so, but only I think it's been 3 times now that I actually heard audible words in meditation, and they match the titles of my books. Interestingly, even before I knew I was ever going to write a book, I heard the first book I wrote was called Coming Out Spiritually, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting concept. I never thought of that, never heard of it. Turns out, a couple of years later, it was a book. But that's the way that I've gotten the direction, not the details. It's like I think it's over practicing over many years, um, reading from here, learning from there, like approaching a relationship consciously. Then the relationship itself begins to inform us, begins to show us the way. And those are some of the ways that I've gotten some of the concepts that I teach.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And because my mantra has always been family first and then relationships, which, one and the same, connected,
Yeah.
and then community, which is what we all do in different ways, the format
Yeah.
and the platforms and how we come about it. But I love your garden because it is about relationships, and all of life is about relationships.
Yeah.
And it can be extended family. Most of us, it is a large extended family. So the concept, but again, Christian, we're going to talk about this towards the end because I want for myself more clarity on breath work, because you said something about it. It's quick. And it gave you the insight and awareness that you didn't have. Something in that breath work gave you an opening and an insight that wasn't available to you through other means. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But let's talk about relationships, soulful relationships. You alluded to it, but what does that mean to you? How does it offer us that mirror? You spoke to it, but I want to hear more.
Well, if you're doing relationships consciously or soulfully, I use those terms interchangeably. That means that we're approaching the relationship with the understanding, with the knowing that only we can make ourselves happy, right? So we're not adding that extra layer of pressure. We're not putting that pressure on the other person or on the relationship. So to me, to do them consciously means that we use everything that comes up in the relationship, right? Crap is going to come up. Arguments are going to come up, right? Our stuff is going to get triggered. Our unhealed stuff is going to get triggered. If you do relationship consciously, using it as that container for transformation and for growth, it really speeds up the process of growth, right? Because what we end up doing most of the time is like point the finger. You did this. You do that. You never do this. You never do that. And then as long as we're pointing the finger the other way, we're never gonna get the lessons that we need to hear, that we need to get, because it's a fair bet if you're doing a relationship that what's there, it's also here. And the more whatever they do gets our goat, the clearer the sign that it's also here. The details might look completely different, right? It might be in relationship to ourselves that we do the same thing. So, but if you want to grow, that's what I mean. The pointing the finger is like shoving the mirror in somebody's face. You do this. You never do that. We're brilliant at that. Turning the mirror around, looking at ourselves and saying, how do I do that? That is nothing short of heroic and difficult to do. But if we apply that practice, then we have access to the blind spots that we wouldn't be able to see otherwise.
Yes. And courageous. Christian, in a different way, we all verbalize the essence and the core of who we are and how we stand and see things differently. But the connecting is always, to me, amazing, because what you just said is that mirror, when you are using blame, you can't really take full responsibility for what's yours. I say when you blame, bash, and blast other men, women, children for whatever, we need to look in that mirror, because that's what we're doing. And that's what you're saying, much more succinct and powerful verbiage, but the same underlying meaning. Yeah. Why do you think, and why is a deadly question, but I will be a why person when I'm 103. Why is it that we are fearful about looking into that mirror? What are some of the underlying? I mean, you said you started off with psychology, and my sister had received 2 PhDs in psychology, so we always had these brainstorming conversations. What is it about that mirror that's so frightening to people?
Yeah, we don't.
Us as people, yes.
Yeah, we don't want to see that stuff. We have this persona, this way that we build ourselves in our mind about who we are. And so anything that isn't that doesn't match that ideal, which isn't real, it becomes threatening to us. So then and the thing about that, Joy, as you know, is that it's never as bad. What we're afraid of, the stuff that we put in the back of the closet somewhere, or stick in the back of a drawer that we don't want to look, what we call the shadow stuff that we don't want to look at.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the juicy stuff is. That's where the possibilities for growth are. So it is so worthwhile to be willing to look at that. And it's never as bad as we think it is. It's just stuff like, stuff like, like an example that I see often, young person, kid, 3, 4, 5, 10 years old, the parents get divorced. The kids, that young mind that doesn't know any better makes it about them. How come mommy left? How come daddy isn't here? Don't they love me? And then it's like we go down that rabbit hole. What does it mean about me that don't they love me? What's wrong with me that they don't love me? And then we make these conclusions about ourselves that aren't even real.
Yes.
But they're so scary. It's like, oh my God, like what's wrong with me? We don't realize that we've made this up in our minds. And so then the more we run away from it, the worse that it gets and the scarier that it gets.
Christian, I'm always smiling and laughing and chuckling in love because I've been there, done that. When my parents separated, I went through that. So I hear exactly what you're saying. Let me say that we have a lot more to cover because I want to get more information on breath work, but I'm going to take a quick little reset and I'll be back with you in just a second. This is really, I like your word. It's juicy. It's good. I love these conversations, but stay put. My engineer is going to put you in the green room and I'll be back with you in just a second. Friends, I bring you each and every week a featured guest speaker who hopefully inspires, impacts, and ignites something in you that will bring you more into the awakening that's waiting for all of us, because we're in that time frame now. I want to ask you, as I always do, to come and join me in my Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. We're not sexist here. This is for men and women, this Monday platform. But in Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, if you gents are out there, you have a lady or someone that you can invite to come and share her vision, her mission, and her purpose, because that's what we're all about. We want to celebrate and build this community into a community that's full of love, wisdom, and compassion, all one and the same for each other. So please join us there. There's a great community. I mentioned family, community, relationships, however you break it down. This community is one that I belong to that's absolutely stupendous in so many ways. It's global. Aren't we all global these days? Please take a screenshot or a snapshot and come and join us every Monday, every weeknight at 8 p.m. You can go in and take a peek and see and feel what the vibe is and see how it will be impactful for you, because it will be. Trust me, I'm just really beginning to get into it now, but I know the impact it's going to have. So join us there. And then I want you to take a look here at Christian's graphic, Soulful Power, a personal evolution in your pocket. Well, who doesn't want that? We want you to take a screenshot and to take a snapshot, and then we're going to be running across the screen the website and the information of how you can contact him. He's constantly got lots of things going on, and we're going to learn a little bit more about how you identify certain barriers. But before we get to the breath work, I want to go there. Please take a screenshot, take a snapshot, and connect with Christian. You will not regret it. I've known him for just a short time, but one of the things I loved about him, and I didn't say it in his introduction, most everyone knows the famous music icon Gloria Estefan, right? Well, she calls his latest book, Awakening the Soulful Power, a balm, B-A-L-M, for the soul, for anyone seeking truth and clarity, and you will be one of those. So join him in that booklet and connect with him is what I'm attempting to say. Christian, I think the work that you're doing is so needed, especially now. The word that I'm using all the time, I've labeled myself the minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, because we are all in a period of awakening now, no matter what round, what generation we're in. So how do we identify and remove some of those barriers that you left us with when you talk about mom and dad separating and things like that? What are some of the, I know they're unlimited, but give us some keys about what one can do to have a personal, social, and religious background that fills them up.
Yeah, and such a beautiful, important question. And I love how you label yourself minister of awakening. That's brilliant. And so, there's only two ways around it about that you can do that. One of them is becoming aware of why we do the things we do, instead of having all the stuff drive our behavior and get in the way of our lives and our relationships, not even consciously of why we do things. We get caught in these patterns of relationship that sometimes feels like we're in the same boring movie. It's just with a different co-lead, but it's the same arguments, the same crap that comes up in the relationships.
Exactly.
So at some point, we got to get honest and say, hey, there's only one common denominator in every one of these relationships and in every one of these arguments. And it's right here. So what's going on? Why does that behavior get me triggered? Why do I keep recreating the same patterns in relationship? And so that's part of the process, asking the hard questions, which is nothing short of heroic. And then going back to breathwork, it is the most effective technique that I've found of clearing those misunderstandings and those old beliefs that get in the way of our relationships. It just clears it at the core. And can I throw in something about power and women, because I became, with realizing that is the majority of your Facebook group is dedicated to the empowerment of women.
Yes.
Previous book, Awakening the Soul of Power. It's for everybody. Everybody struggles with power, but it has a particular message for women around women's empowerment, coming from my conviction that is the single most important thing that needs to happen in the world. It's not to idealize women, it's not to put women up on a pedestal, it's not to give women more crap they have to clean up in this world. It's because as a world, as a species, we've been running so off balance between the masculine and the feminine energies.
Yes.
And which run through everybody, by the way, not just females, right? Those energies course through every one of us.
Christian, that's exactly why I say the divine masculine and feminine, because it's about gender, and we both have both within our DNA. And that's why, for me, the divine feminine and the masculine are connected, and it's about power, equality, and divine femininity. Yeah, that's just my outlook. I'm glad that you picked up on that. I don't see how one could not. But speak to that more, because power is an aphrodisiac that's very scary for people. And for women to own their power, for us to own it, it's a whole different saga than it is for the masculine, whatever.
It's harder for everybody, but there's extra layers for women.
Yes.
Because of the conditioning. Because we've been so conditioned that that power is a bad thing. With quotes like "power corrupts" and "absolute power corrupts absolutely." And who wants to be corrupted? Most of us don't. So because of words like concepts like that are misleading about power, because what they didn't tell us is that Lord Acton, who said power corrupts, he was talking specifically about political power. Not personal power that you and I are talking about. And that we're encouraging everybody to step into, because that's where the answers to all our questions lie. That's where our sense of fulfillment is to be found, our happiness, related to fulfilling our unique purpose. So it's all interconnected about that.
Very well said. Very well said. Very well said.
And then what happens, is that because in particular women, like we've turned the feminine into something weak into weakness.
Well, what we've done, Christian, and I'm sorry to interject, but I get excited, but we've sexualized women to an extent that it's just absurd. Yeah. But you know what? You and I can go on. You must come back again. I know that it's a whole different saga, but I really want everything that you're sharing with me. It's resonating. I'm receiving it. I'm hoping that others, and I'm sure they are as well. But I want to hear more about breath work and how we can begin, and some of the things that you'll be doing in the near future that we can all be a part of. But tell us a little bit more about breath work, because I feel, and I think you spoke to it, it's rather new. It maybe not new, but a lot of people aren't that familiar, especially if they're not really in the spiritual realm, about breath work. Would I be wrong on that?
I think you're right. I think it's kind of breath work is following the same trajectory that meditation did and that yoga did. And I think you're right. I think it's right at that cusp now where a lot more people are finding out about it.
Yes, I think so.
And again, we have to get specific about what kind of breath work, because there's a big umbrella term. So like I was saying in the beginning, if you've done pranayama, breathing practices at the end of a yoga classes, then you've done breath work. But this is like breath work on steroids. It's like really powerful way of breathing that amazing stuff happens. I'm not going to demonstrate how to do it now because
no. But
because it is so powerful. It's very simple, but because it's so powerful, I always recommend the first 5 sessions it's good to do it with maybe 10 sessions, you do it with a professional. So that the mind who's freaking out about everything and who's afraid of change. So anything that signifies change, even if change is good, to that ego mind of ours, it's threatening. So even something like breath work, even something like meditation, which are good things, to that little ego mind, that's a little control freak, it's going to be intimidated by that. It's going to resist that.
Uh-huh.
And so the breathing part of it is very simple. It's like, it's the breath is our most loyal, our most faithful companion on this journey of life. It's our deepest, most intimate relationship. And like I started to say earlier, if we look at the majority of religions and spiritual traditions, the same word can mean breath or spirit. And you find that even in secular languages all over the world. And so to me, that's why I understand, what helps me understand why it's so powerful. I can't tell you how many times people have told me, I've been sitting on a meditation cushion for 20 years, 30 years, to that moment of no mind. Or I've had people tell me I got to the same place of ecstatic beingness, of unitary consciousness, of oneness that I did as I had on a sacred plant medicine journey. And all we're doing is using the breath.
I love that. Yes. Well, you're getting, I get excited very quickly, and it's a good thing. I don't want to lose it. But you mentioned the word change, which back in the day, a few years ago, whatever, it was pivot, same thing, change. Change is very difficult for most people. And when you use that word, and I understand it, Christian, I get it, simple. It's simple maybe for you that you've mastered it, but I'm sure the people who come to you and need it, it's not. And you say it's very powerful. People are seeking their own power in love and wisdom and truth and compassion. So I can't see how this can't benefit us all. And I can truthfully say I most likely very much need it. But I'm intrigued by it because when you said that all the meditation and the things that people have done prior, yoga and so on, that this is so much more powerful. And you have found this to be, and people have related that to you.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I know you don't want to share and you don't have to give us examples, but what makes it 5 to 10 sessions? What makes it so powerful? Because we all breathe, this learning how to breathe, the pacing between the breathing. I'm waiting.
Yeah. Well, what this practice is, it's a circular breath. So there's no pacing. There's no stopping between your inhale and your exhale. And so you breathe in this circular connected wave. I think what makes it so powerful is that you do it for an hour. So you're getting yourself high on your own breath. And I mean, if nothing else happened but that, it would be amazing. But Joy, is like it even heals, like it heals at every level. I don't know anything more effective in terms of healing psychological and emotional trauma. I work with people who are, like experience sexual abuse, rape, incest, and all that stuff gets healed. And one thing is healing up here, right? Because you went to therapy and talked about it. That's one level of healing. The level of healing that I'm talking about is deeper, and it's in the body, and which is one of the reasons that this practice is so profound, because it bypasses the mind. Like, with all due respect to psychotherapy, like that's tradition I come out of. But we all know you can sit on somebody's couch or in somebody's office for years, rehashing the same old crap, and nothing really happens.
Well, Christian, the time flies here. I hate to interject, but I do get excited. And you said something circular breathing and whatever for an hour. For me, with my high energy and bouncing, I probably need 20 sessions. But it's my DNA and it's part of me. What is the takeaway? What do you want to leave us with? What do you want to have us walk away with here today? The time flies. It's gone already, Christian. But give us some pearls of wisdom before.
Yeah, we've had a great conversation, Joey. So anything to take away, the power is within you, right? So stop giving it away. Nobody can give it to you. Nobody can take it away. We are the only ones who get to use it consciously. And so own it. It's yours. And then learn what that means. Right? Learn what it means to express your power in a way that doesn't have to put anybody else down. We have to step on anybody, put our knee to their neck in order for us to feel powerful. That's not real power. That is worldly power. That is an illusion of power. And that's one of the reasons we all have a conflicted relationship with it, because we see all
Mm.
the abuses of power that happen in the world every single day, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to be that way. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the kind of power that comes from within, that is humble and doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. It knows.
Christian, 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 love your message. Love what you're about and the work that you're doing. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. I love what you ended with. The power is within us. That's what I'm coming to realize. And my mantra is all for one and one for all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. I cannot tell you how I waited to have Christian come and join us. He's a super busy guy, as we all are, but he was able to get here today and share some pearls of wisdom with you. So, friends, take it away, embrace, embody it, and make sure that you connect with him. The whole impact that we intend to have here is to be an awakening and an opening, one and the same, for you, for us, for all of us, because the journey never, never ends, but it gets lighter and better and more lovely as we progress. So be and stay well, and join me on Wednesday for Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. Until then, I send you always much, much love from my heart to yours. Embrace it, embody it. It belongs to you and to me. Until the next time, all the best.